Hi, my name is Rena Kawasaki. I'm a senior at Osaka International School of Kwansei, Gakuin, currently taking the IBDP program. And I've been doing some work regarding connecting Japanese youth to their political representatives.
So you mentioned something about a book that you read when you were 9 years old. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I read a book by UNICEF when I was currently enrolled in this school when I was in fourth grade, taking the PYP program. And we were learning a lot about volunteer work and how we can help people outside of our communities. And when I read that book, I realized that a lot of kids couldn't go to school because of the political situation of their country. And it just made me realize the immense amount of privilege that I had and the inequality that exists within the world that I didn't really know about. So after I read that book, I talked to my classmates about UNICEF and how we could help kind of fundraise for these kids, especially in at the current time, Sudan was having an internal crisis. So we really wanted to do something to empower our friends in Sudan. So me and my classmates were the first elementary class to start this booth in the international fair in our school. And we raised money to send to the kids to provide them with educational supplies that they can use within their school in the immigration camps.
Okay, thank you so much. Now I want to move on to Earth Guardians Japan. What led you to starting Earth Guardians Japan and deciding that connecting young people with local politicians was something that you wanted to do?
Yeah, so I was in the midst of COVID and we were all kind of contained in our houses, and it was 2020 and it was around May of 2020, and I just really felt like inadequate. I didn't feel that I was doing enough, especially because I kind of felt powerless within my house, not really doing anything. So I looked for opportunities that I can take action online. And my art teacher, actually sent me a link to this company called EarthX, which was doing this kind of online video competition. I submitted it, didn't really place or anything, but on their website, I found an internship that they were providing. So it was for kind of high schoolers and college students, but I really asked them and said, I think I can be of assistance to become an intern, and basically worked as an intern all throughout the summer of 2020, and I think the summer before that as well. And when I was interning there, I was able to do this panel that coincidentally had the leaders of the international organization Earth Guardians. And when I saw them, I realized that youth around my age, a couple of years older, were doing things that were empowering youth around them, and also kind of talking to different politicians, governments, and also really large corporations to do what we can to maintain sustainability within their countries. And I felt that if we could have a chapter like that in Japan, it would be, I think, empower a lot more youth that really wanted to take action but just didn't know how.
Okay, so I want to know a little bit more about Earth Guardians Japan. What's something, within the organization's work that you feel the most proud of?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of things, but what I really liked about, I think Tanishka, we kind of started together, but what I really liked about Earth Guardians Japan was that we don't really kind of ask whether they've done any really big accomplishments before that. We do have a selection process, but it's based off of what they want to do, what kind of activities that they want to do in the organization, and whether we're a good match or not. And I really just felt empowered when some of the members who've never done any activism before, never done any really big activities before, kind of stood in front of the Ministry of Environment and the officials there. And I saw a video of them talking and kind of introducing Earth Guardians and what they wanted the Ministry of Environment to do. And it just felt really empowering that it doesn't matter where you come from, your experience, just the fact that we as an organization could kind of branch these youth to larger platforms where their voice deserves to be heard was a really powerful and inspirational experience for me.
Okay, thank you so much. So recently you won the International Children's Peace Prize. How does it feel to be following in the footsteps of Greta Thunberg and Malala Yousafzai? And what are your ambitions now that you've won that award?
Yeah, so it still doesn't really feel real. Greta Thunberg is around around the same age as me, so I didn't really grow up kind of looking up to her. But however, Malala Yousafzai was one of the books that we read in the school when we were in elementary school, and it just feels really surreal that I'm in the same lineup, both as a person of color, as an Asian female, and especially a person that comes from Japanese culture. I just felt really proud that youth activism in Japan could be is worthy of like a global spotlight. So first of all, that was a really special experience for me. But I think that I had a lot of imposter syndrome going into it, but and I still don't feel that I'm like worthy of it yet. But I think that the International Children's Peace Prize is not about like what you've done, but more of what you can do in the future. So I think that I was really empowered to, because I was able to, because they were so nice to select me as the leader, because they believed in my cause and they believed that the issues that I was tackling is something that we need to urgently solve. I think with the funding that I'm going to receive and with the support and the kind of spotlight that I was able to gain from getting this award, I really want to make sure that I don't kind of stop because I've gotten the award, but actually do more work with governments and reach more youth, reach more city governments or regional governments in Japan in order to make sure that youth in any region of Japan can have a say in their political kind of representatives. So I think that's what I want to do.
Okay, so it's just the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, thank you so much. So you mentioned that you would want to go on creating programs for young leaders suited to each country's specific needs. Would you mind elaborating a bit on that?
Yeah, so I think I said that when I was first nominated, and I do believe that, but however, I want to go a little bit more specific in the fact that I think I saw really the potential of youth in each regional area kind of taking the agency to do their own projects and do startup leaderships and make sure that become the leaders in their own regions and to kind of speak up for the youth around them and kind of start like these little coalitions within Japan and also the world. So I really saw the value in that, and I saw that youth in that region know that region the best. And I think that it's really hard to make the first step when you're kind of required to stand in front of national government and kind of say your opinion. But I feel like through the experience of talking to doing the project Let's Talk to a Politician, I felt that youth were really more passionate when it came to their own smaller communities. And I saw youth after that project kind of gain interest in prefectural governments and then gain interest in national governments. So I think in the future, I really want to work within government and kind of make these programs and kind of make these kind of systems and governmental systems that allows youth to start that first step into activism, start that first step into advocating for themselves. And I still don't know what that is yet, but I think that through working in Earth Guardians Japan and talking to many more youth that have joined an organization this year, I really want to make sure that they have the agency to kind of do the things that they want to do in their own region. So creating those educational sources and also those connections between youth and government is something that I want to do in the future.
Okay, thank you so much. And something connected to you winning the International Children's Peace Prize was your position as the Chief Future Officer at UGLANA. So what kind of work did you do as the Chief Future Officer, and what kind of impact did it have?
Yeah, so UGLANA is a really special company within Japan that is actually a biofuel company, but their overall mission is to enhance the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, within Japan as a whole. So they have a lot of different things that are not regarded to biofuel or not regarded to STEM areas. And what they started in 2019 was this position called Chief Future Officer, where they pick youth under the age of 18 to become one of their actual board members and do executive orders and actually find issues within the company that need solving and actually implement those solutions. And they have the full agency to do that. So in 2020, I think, I was able to be selected as the Chief Future Officer for that year. And within the work that I did, we really focused on well-being innovation. So what that is kind of maintaining physical and mental well-being while kind of getting the agency to have more fun and exciting things within the Japanese entrepreneurial sphere. So within the term that I had, me and the Future Summit members, which are also kids under the age of 18 that are selected by the company, we created these new human resource policies that which is called the parents policy, where new employees get to have these quote unquote parents that are people that have already worked in the company for a very long time, and they can gain mentorship, but also have a safe space where they can discuss their ideas or their worries in order to maintain both well-being and innovation at the same time. So it was a really big experience for me because it was the first time where I felt like, even as a person, as a youth under the age of 18, I could do something that shapes Japan and actually shapes, it starts from this company and it influences other companies as well. So it made me feel really powerful in a really good way. And because of the kind of experience that I had within that company, and we were able to influence a lot of different companies to have these sorts of well-being and innovation policies. And so I felt like after I did that position and during that time as well, I was also still involved with Earth Guardian Japan. So I feel like that experience that the adults of Japan kind of gave me really inspired me to kind of don't limit yourself, but actually as a youth, what can we do to kind of do our part as a member of society? So that the experience that I was able to have as a CFO at UGlena really kind of empowered me as a youth and allowed me to empower others. So I think that was a really special experience.
Do you think that this position, like a CFO, do you think that's something more companies in Japan and all around the world should implement?
Definitely, because I think that it's just good for both sides. Although I feel like it is a big financial and mental burden for the company, but I think that's what makes it so special that UGlena was able to do it. Because I think, for example, for the first year that the CFO policy was implemented, the CFO and the Future Summit members asked the company to abolish all plastic wrappers and plastic products like pet bottles from the company. And that was a big risk for the company, but they were able to do it and actually stay true to their policies as a sustainable, friendly company. So I think that the youth get to feel empowered like I was and actually create agency outside of their position as CFO. But I think that it allowed kind of intergenerational conversation to happen in the entrepreneurial sphere, which is kind of seen as this very rigid thing. And I think that it allowed youth to change their perspective on working with adults, and adults were able to kind of break down these conventional ways of doing things and kind of incorporating what's more fun, what's more recent, and what's more, what can we incorporate that has never been incorporated before. So I really felt like we genuinely had fun in that workspace. And I think that's really, really important when you want to talk about sustainability, because no one's going to do something that's not exciting for them and it's not going to be sustainable in its purest sense. So I think that that experience helped me realize that, the fun element, the exciting element, the innovative element is really, really important. And I think that a lot more companies should incorporate that. And I think that's something that youth can bring to the table.